Hey, remember Darwin's tree of life? At the base is bacteria, the first universal common ancestor. And then at the top is us humans, and other things which live with us today, like squirrels, and hummingbirds, and moose, and cuttlefish, and the dwarf globe blue spruce, and Shia LaBeouf. In between are all those creatures we evolved from, like worms and fish and such. And maybe Shia LaBeouf again. If you follow your own family line back through your parents and grandparents, all the way back to bacteria, you'll find a bunch of different species. In a nutshell, you'll find bacteria, worms, fish, amphibians, lizards, mammals, primates, and humans. That's your long, long list of evolutionary grandparents. From goo to you by way of the zoo. Ha ha! Right? Now, let's imagine that you're having lunch at your grandparents' house this weekend. And while you're at the table, about to grab a dinner roll, your grandfather grabs it first. In order to secure those life-giving calories and have something on which to spread some delicious honey butter, you realize you have but one choice. So you kill your grandfather with a meat cleaver and take back the dinner roll. Your mother is simply indignant. "Why would you do that?" she screams. "There were 6 more dinner rolls in the basket." Ugh, your mother never really understood you. Yes, there were other rolls, but the bottoms of all of them were a little bit burned. Not the same. Besides, that's only one dead ancestor. For crying out loud, there's at least 3 left at the table. Your mom was always such a drama queen. Let's imagine that the night before this, you were feeling sick. Your mother figured it was a stomach bug, by which she means a bacterial infection, and she gives you an antibiotic. Now do the math. Billions of bacteria are going to die in the next 24 hours, many thousands more in the days to come. Does your mom flip out over the intentional murder of billions of your evolutionary ancestors? No. Talk about a hypocrite. Hopefully the metaphor is clear. Draw a line from rocks through bacteria, worm, fish, etc. to yourself. That line passes through your parents, and then their parents, and their parents, all the way to bacteria. And every point on the line is one of your ancestors. Killing the most recent ones is evil. I think we would all agree with that. Especially if they invited you over for dinner. And killing the bacteria at the front of the line is fine. I think we would all agree with that too. Your immune system is going to do that however you feel about it, so you may as well accept it. But where does the line between okay to kill and do not kill get drawn? Is it okay to kill worms? What about fish? Frogs? Lizards? Monkeys? Apes? Some of you are thinking that this is about animal rights. You're wondering if evolutionists should consider apes to be close enough relatives to grant them citizenship. But I want to raise another question, which has been very active in politics and war over the past couple of 100 years. Human is not one species according to Darwinism. When the African ape evolved into the first human, they evolved into the African man. If you are a white European or some descendant thereof, Darwin would tell you that there are maybe half a dozen species of human between you and that African man, and maybe a few more between you and the ape, whereas if you are an African or some descendant thereof, there are no human species between you and the ape, but just a couple of species of ape men between you and your ape ancestors. Once again, where do you draw the line between okay to kill and not okay to kill? Apes are clearly animals. We keep them in zoos, but where does that change? And who gets to decide? In the early 1900s, evolutionists drew that line after Africans and Australian Aborigines. They killed Aborigines to display them in museums like they might have done to birds or starfish. Some evolutionists believe that the distance between themselves and the darker peoples of Africa and Australia was greater than the distance between those people and the apes. Charles Darwin was one of those people. While in the West we've been taught enough Christian morality to be disgusted by this, I want you to do more than merely have the emotional knee-jerk response to racism. I want you to think about this. If atheism were true and evolution our actual history, then where do you draw that line? Can you even draw it? And why would you? We kill bacteria, we kill worms, we kill fish and eat them. We will kill and eat almost anything between bacteria and ourselves. We even consume single-celled animals in our drinking water. In America, much of what we eat is not considered to be on our direct ancestral path, but would it matter? Somewhere in the world, people eat frogs and lizards and monkeys. Is it wrong to eat our evolutionary ancestors? Would it be wrong to kill and eat our own grandparents, our cousins, our next-door neighbors? We all know it's wrong to kill other people. God has told us as much, and has put his law into our hearts. Everyone knows that humans are not animals. Because of this, human life is far more valuable than any other living thing. But if you pretend God is not there and you adopt the evolutionary history as your religion, then you not only lose the separation between man and animal, but at the same time you lose the unity between the different races. The evil white supremacist racism we have fought to abolish in Western culture over the centuries becomes, in your atheistic evolutionary worldview, just the facts of nature. White privilege is just the privilege of the fittest, and the slavery and genocide committed in its name cannot be condemned on your worldview as evil. It merely becomes the fruit hanging on the Darwinian tree of life, which, in this light, is really the Darwinian tree of death. Maybe those dinner rolls are to die for, but the lies of evolution are not. It's time Western culture expunged this and other murderous lies from our culture, and followed the lights of science and philosophy back to the Bible. For more on this topic, check out the 3 episodes of the Brainswork series about race, racism, and what it means to be human. And remember, Jesus loves you.